Thanks, Heather. Good morning again. My name is Jon Lopez, and today is Practitioner Sunday, and usually we have 3 or 4 practitioners up here, each giving a little talk, and today it fell to me. So fasten your seatbelts. The name of my talk is The Creative Power of Surrender. June was the month of creativity, according to the 365 Days of Science of Mind by Ernest Holmes. And so I'd like to kind of close it out with sort of a 2-part talk. You might wonder what creativity and surrender have in common. So hopefully I'll be able to make the connection. Ernest Holmes writes that we are chemists in the laboratory of the infinite. What then shall we create? We must say that all thought is created according to the nature, impulse, emotion, or conviction behind the thought. Thought creates a mold in the subjective in which the idea is accepted and poured and sets power in motion in accordance with the thought. So I love the idea of a subjective mind, which is part of the infinite mind, which takes a thought and imprints it in God's substance like a handprint in sand. So once you have the thought, it imprints it in the sand of absolute creative God substance. In my treatments, I now conclude by saying that my word, which is creative, powerful, and is law in the universe, if you'll pardon the arrogance, is released into subjective mind and imprinted or processed for immediate manifestation. Holmes goes on to say that thought swings from contemplation into action, from prayer into performance. For while there is in the innermost recesses of our soul a place which dwells in eternal stillness and inaction, there is also a place at the circumference of our being which, animated by this inner principle, goes forth to accomplish. In other words, we treat and then we move our feet. Every single one of us is creative and a creator on many levels, the source of which are our core beliefs, our assumptions, our thoughts, words, and the actions we take accordingly. All creativity, however it outpictures, originates from within. When I was younger, I used to think that there was this overall objective, unchangeable, universal reality out there in which everyone lived, over which I had no physical control. Then I read Shakti Gawain's classic book, Creative Visualization, and learned that our minds and thoughts are powerful instruments that can attract, if not manifest, specific conditions, things, situations, and therefore create personal realities. So I read this when I was in college, and my rational mind said, yeah, right. But from reading that book, I took a leap and considered that my perspective, my beliefs, and points of view about this reality, at the very least, colored my perception and interpretation of it. It took place within looking out. So if I thought the world was a good place, that's what my colored point of view would perceive and experience. If I thought it was a bad place, my colored point of view would perceive more and more examples to prove me right. The universe always says yes. So at least within me, on a personal level, I did kind of color and create my reality from that level. Well, from there, it was an easy and logical process into the principles of science of mind. In science of mind, we teach that God is a creative principle, not a personality, which is a concept that I resonated to. I'd always felt kind of uncomfortable with the word God with a capital G, because I imagined an old man with a white beard and flowing robes sitting up in the sky, passing judgment on his lowly and therefore flawed creations, which to me begged the question, what kind of a God would make imperfect, flawed creations in the first place? However, a definition of the word God that I found is the acronym G-O-D, God, the guiding, organizing, designing principle. I learned that God/universal law is not only creative, it is non-judgmental and neutral, loving unconditionally, and knows only to respond to and reflect back into physical reality what is thought into it. Cause and effect. We are the cause, the manifestation is the effect. So since the principle is infinite and includes everything, reality can have an infinitude of aspects. One being dependent on the belief as an overall encompassing, unchangeable, solid, objective, constant physical construct. And another being a changeable, malleable, liquid quantum soup, as described by Deepak Chopra, that is being affected constantly and acted upon by movement, change, growth, transformation, and again, at the source of it all, intelligence, consciousness, and thought. And I would add, by word. But what happens when our thoughts and words apparently fail us? Or I say apparently. Our beliefs still seem to be intact, but our intentions don't appear to be working. Or maybe they are. But from a deep core belief that influences and controls and overrides the surface intention. After all, we don't really manifest for something. The truth is we manifest from something, from a core belief which will always override the surface intention. On one hand, we can try doing a few of what Reverend Helen Street used to call a God damn it treatment, which I describe in my Commanding God workshop, where we command the universe in no uncertain terms to manifest our desire. God doesn't care. God doesn't get offended, because it's the power behind our word that propels the manifestation. Or we can what? If we don't do a goddamn treatment, what can we do instead if our intentions and prayers and treatments don't seem to be working? And we're trying and trying and trying and efforting and efforting and efforting, and it's not working. What can we do then? Surrender. Where the cliche, letting go and letting God, applies. In this month's Science of Mind magazine, in an amazing demonstration of synchronicity, almost every article mentioned at one point or another the idea and concept of surrender. In our teaching, surrender doesn't mean giving up. It means releasing negative or self-imposed ideas and assumptions and beliefs and allowing the universe in which all solution exists already, it's already there, to show you and reveal to you what to do and how to do it. It means giving up the efforting and the trying to control to make something happen. In my treatments, I include the statement that God always shows me what to do, how to do it, and when, in ways that I can clearly see, know, understand, and easily take action on. The pressure on me is removed. I put the onus on Spirit. It doesn't care. With the guiding, organizing, designing principle, there is no big or little or easy or difficult. The law of mind knows only to say yes, and the subjective mind knows only to do. One of the most revealing sayings of Jesus was that he of himself could do nothing. It was the Father that dwelled within that did the works. Surrendering means letting go of control, being willing to trust, and become an open, receptive conduit for creative ideas and solutions to flow to you and through you. To give up efforting and trying and letting the law of mind do its job and create for you. Let it do the work. I cannot tell you how many times I've surrendered. Well, I could tell you, but that would take up, about a day or two. Often to the point of emotional exhaustion, after trying to do and figure it out for myself and beating myself up and you're a practitioner, what's wrong with you? You should know how to do this and blah, blah, blah. Before I finally got it through my thick human head that I could trust Spirit to reveal the perfect solutions, the ways, and the means. And rather than with wringing of hands or wailing defeat or beating myself up, surrendering can be done with positivity, assertiveness, and intention. The kind of surrender we teach is to let go, release, and give the universe a chance to flow into us, work through us, and create for us. In this, there is absolutely no shame or weakness. In fact, quite the opposite. I sometimes do a surrendering treatment right before I go to sleep. We're all familiar with the phrase, to sleep on it. Anybody here not ever hear that? When my brain is in monkey mind mode, I give myself permission to surrender all cares and concerns, putting them on the back burner with the heat turned off, where they will either keep till morning or else have resolved themselves during the night, revealing to me the perfect solution, my creative mind being in subconscious action. I selfishly affirm that this time is just for me to rest and sleep, during which I recharge, renew, recenter, rewhole, heal, and rebuild. And when I do this, I'm able to sleep soundly. Just last week, I had a perfect demonstration of surrender. I experienced macular degeneration, as well as a past incident of hemorrhaging in one eye, this eye. For months, I was treating for healing and perfect eyesight, constantly revising my treatments for healing and the more assertive and proactive towards a physical wholeness, and trying to hone my words precisely so that they would trigger the exact outcome I desired. I was trying to fix my condition, laying it all on me and beating myself up for not believing enough, for believing in separation of my mind, my spirit, and my physical body, not doing enough, beating myself up for not being enough. Well, finally, I sought counsel. I needed to get outside of myself and get the perspective of a third or second person. And so, with the treatment I received, I experienced for the first time a sensation of release and surrender with the sure trust and faith of God, of the universe, and the full realization that, Spirit knows exactly at all times what to do, how to do it, and how to heal. Ooh. The process is none of my concern. It's none of my business. The faith and trust of and from the spiritual process is. That's the key. Having the faith and the trust and letting the universe, letting Spirit do the work. Becoming the open conduit for which it can work and do the healing for you. I had a more mundane experience when our refrigerator died a few weeks ago. We had no extra money whatsoever to get a new refrigerator, and oh my God, what are we going to do? So again, it was like surrender, release. In the past, I would have been wringing my hands and gone through all kinds of stressful things. How are we going to manifest enough money to get a new refrigerator? But this time, I got it through my head, let it go, and let God. And I kind of forgot about it. Then as I was making what I thought was a routine payment on a credit card, which had been maxed out for months, and my credit limit was fixed, I just happened to notice that they had raised my credit limit by $3,000. It was like, and if that wasn't a clear demonstration to me, nothing could have been clearer than that. So we got a new refrigerator. And we're going to be able to take a trip to visit Gray's parents in a couple of weeks because of the extra money. Now, I didn't relish getting deeper into debt. Let's make that clear. But the universe provided an immediate ways and means to resolve an immediate need, which I recognized and was truly grateful for. Surrender can be stated again in the affirmative, proactive, positive, and intentional manner using our powerful, creative word with the purpose of releasing our self-imposed fear and ideas of limitation and giving the universe leeway and space, and that's the space within us, to create for us when we don't know how to do it ourselves. During our spiritual circle last Tuesday, one of the articles seemed to suggest, brought up the idea that the notion of surrendering to God implied that in surrendering there could be perhaps a kind of separation. You know, we're surrendering to something out there. What I prefer to think is that I surrender, we surrender within God, within Spirit, which is everywhere present. In proactive surrender, we open the floodgates for creativity to manifest. I'd like to close now by reading a passage from this month's Science of Mind Daily Guides for June 8th, entitled The Box. And this is about words. It was a small box filled with compelling words, alive with passion, power, and fire. There was no room in it for words people use to fill empty spaces in meaningless conversations. There would never be a place in it for the words you hear yourself saying after you have mentally left a conversation. To the casual observer, the box was just a box. It had no outside color or markings. There was nothing about this little box to arouse the curiosity in an ordinary person. However, poets, wordsmiths, lovers, dreamers, and artists couldn't walk past the little box without smiling. Some even broke into uncontrollable laughter. Most admitted hearing a curious melody somewhere behind the background noise of daily living. Some said they heard a love song. Others heard a ballad. A few said every time they touched the little box, they were overwhelmed with joy and that an entire symphony embraced their heart. There were questions. Who created the box? What was the reason for placing words of power, love, fire, and passion in a box? Not even the highest of the questioners would find the answer. Is it possible that each word spoken is a creative work of art? Is it possible that even the most powerful words, like people, are fragile and require safekeeping? Is it possible that words, like people, grow richer and are improved by the company they keep? So on that note, I give you many thanks and namaste. And so it is.